Welcome to the Offshore Club's fun-filled, fact-filled, fast-paced, blockbuster podcast, Coffee with Carib Carter, coming to you exclusively from where the sun never sets on the good life at a great price. And now, fill up your favorite coffee mug and join your expert and your guide, Carib Carter Clues.
Hello. It's Carib Carter Clues, and welcome to the 85th edition of Coffee with Carib Carter. I hope you have your coffee. Here we go. Folgers. It's Folgers. My wife likes Folgers. Medium roast. And believe it or not, she can actually taste the difference between medium roast and heavy or whatever they call it. I have no idea. Coffee's coffee. But nonetheless, we got our coffee. We got each other, and we are ready to rock and roll with a lot of good stuff today. Okay. Number one, it is mail call day. Carib Carter mail call day. All right. This is when we get to interact. Okay. Because I get to respond to questions from you. And today I have two for you that I think are very, very important. They're going to seem, they're very similar. They're very similar, but they're also entirely diverse. And you're saying, what are you talking about? You're going to see. You're going to see exactly what I'm talking about in just a few minutes, because we're going to do our mail call. Two emails, and they're both about the future. Let's just give you that hint, okay? We're also going to feature an interview I did toward the end of last week with Mike Cobb, the Offshore Investment Oracle, okay? Now, I know some of you watch Mike's podcast. That's every Friday at noon at offshore.club. Every Friday at noon at offshore.club. Write that down. Grab a pen. Write that down at Offshore Club noon. And it's Mike Cobb's Offshore Investment Report. All right. Now, that's a vitally important podcast, because Mike is probably one of the top 2 or 3 investors in Latin America over the past 25 years. So when he talks, he knows what he speaks. He's a great guy. And today we're going to feature an interview I did with him about where should you be investing right now in property, okay? In property. And we're going to lay it out for you. Some of you are going to be surprised. Some of you who know me aren't, because you're going to say, well, Carter, you're the president of the Offshore Club, because you're going to say offshore. But don't just take it from me. Listen to what Mike has to say. That interview is coming up. We're going to head down to La Ceiba, Honduras, where I used to live. Some of you know that. I used to live there. Loved it. La Ceiba, Honduras, to a residential community, okay? Residential community that I think you're going to say to yourself, this is a good place to invest and maybe to live part-time, vacation home, second home, maybe to live full-time. One nice thing, if you do buy there, you're going to be a close neighbor, because I will be living right up the street from you at La Ceiba Beach Club. You all have seen my home there like a million times, right? That I show. I'm proud of it. Come on. 2-bedroom, the front yard is the beach. You're going to find this new residential resort community that I'm going to show you. I think you're going to say, that's a heck of a deal. Maybe this is where I'm going to make my investment, put together my Plan B escape route. Okay. Plan B escape route. And then we're going to finish with a motivation moment that's going to take you by surprise. I'm going to guarantee you. Okay. I'm guaranteeing you, you're going to say, what the heck does that video, which is about 1.5 minutes long, what the heck does that video have to do with my moving offshore, Carib Carter? But I'm going to explain it to you. I like the video. I like the guy. You're going to see. I'm not going to elaborate anymore. Okay. So let's get started. Shall we? Let's get started with the 2 emails that I'm going to respond to today. I always respond to your emails, so make sure to write to me. caribcarter7, the number 7, at gmail.com. Okay. I love getting your emails. I love responding to them. I get some great emails all the time. Like my inbox is like 100 a day or whatever. It's fantastic, because I, I, I enjoy interacting with you. That's what the Offshore Club is all about. It's your Offshore Club. So send me an email, Carib Carter 7, the number 7 at gmail.com. Okay. So we have 2 emails today. As I said, they're like, but they're different enough that they're very, very important. Both of them are. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read both of them to you. Okay. Then I'm going to go back and comment on each of them. I'm not going to take forever. The other days, so I was telling somebody about all the stuff we had to cover today. And they said, chances are, I know you got a lot of viewers now, but chances are they have other friends other than you. So you can't take up their whole day. And I'm not, but I think what I have to say about these 2 letters is important. So I want to share it with you. Okay. All right. The first letter, letter 1. Dear Carib, you spent 40 years high up in politics in Washington, D.C. So you know politics and politicians better than anyone else I've ever watched. Thank you. It's very kind of you. I appreciate that. What do you think is going to happen? And how do you, in the upcoming, I think he means in the upcoming elections and, after that, the aftermath. And how do you think it'll affect our country's future? That's the first letter. How do you think, keep in those last couple of words, how do you think it will affect our country's future? Okay. Hold that thought. Now let's look at letter 2. Now that one's from Jill M. in Arizona, by the way. Okay. I don't use last names because I want to protect your privacy. Letter 2, Mr. Clues. When it starts out Mr., it probably is not going to be a slap on the back. How you doing, buddy? You keep preaching at us about moving offshore to Latin America. But the way I see it, a lot of those countries down there have a heck of a lot of problems. Why do you paint such a rosy picture of the future? A rosy picture of the future in Latin America. Okay, you see the tie here? Future in the U.S., future in Latin America. Okay, I was saying it's kind of diverse. You're going to see what I mean in a minute. That's from Larry W. from New York. Okay, from New York. All right. So let me briefly spell out to you this because I think it's important. Okay, I think it's important. I get a lot of questions, based upon the fact, the first letter that I spent so long in Washington, folks. I started out working with the committee to re-elect the president. That was Nixon, 1972, 1775, Pennsylvania Avenue was the headquarters. Often somebody said to me once, man, if you were working with that and the president got re-elected, you must have really been in a good position, to move up the ladder corporately and all with that. Well, actually, I wasn't because everybody above me ended up in jail. It was the committee to re-elect the president. It was John Mitchell. It was Chuck Colson. Okay, all these people I knew, and if I wrote to them, I had to be Carib Leavenworth or whatever. So, but that's how far back it goes. And so I've watched politicians. I watched them every step of the way. I worked hand in hand with them. Reagan was fantastic. He was not your typical politician. And there were a couple others. Jesse Helms was fantastic. Armstrong, Colorado. Most of them, though, let me put it this way. Harry Truman once said, if the first 6 months you're here when he was elected to the Senate, the first 6, he was a senator before he became president. The first 6 months you're here, you're wondering what you're doing here. The rest of the 6 years, you're wondering what everybody else is doing here, and you wish they weren't. Okay? That's the way it is. They get what Truman called Potomac fever. It goes to their head. The head goes boom. And they totally, I'm telling you, with rare exceptions, totally lose touch with the American people, including you. Think about it, okay? So let's answer that first question. Let's go back to letter 1. Dear Carib, you spent 40 years in politics. We just went over there. What do you think is going to happen? And how do you think it will affect our country's future? Okay. It's interesting because I just wrote an article about this very topic for Escape Artist magazine. escapeartist.com, our sister organization, has a monthly magazine. Here's the cover of this month's magazine. My article is in there. This is a great magazine, folks. Go to escapeartist.com and subscribe to that. I think it's like $79 a year. It's not a pamphlet. It's a full-color, gorgeous magazine, incredible articles. Usually a magazine is about 80 to 100 pages long. And my column is in there every month. It's called Escape Route, okay? Carter Clues Escape Route. So I just wrote an article about what I saw as the future. So let me just lay it on you for what it's worth. You have elections coming up, November. Midterm elections. Some people say it's going to be a red wave. Some people are going to say that it's going to stay blue. Whatever. All right, so let me say this. Let me just tell you. You need to know. You need to know this. You need to know this. I'm telling you as someone who has worked with these people, these politicians. If the Democrats hold on to the Senate and House, you better hold on to your wallet, because if you think things are bad now, wait till you see what's coming down the pike. Okay, there were two Democrats who kept the Democrat Party from just totally taxing you through the ceiling. I mean, they raised your taxes, and now they're going to say, "Well, we didn't do that." Yeah, they did. They did actually. The Inflation Reduction Act. Okay, it raised the taxes on 67% of people making 40 to 50,000 a year. Probably includes a lot of you, and like numbers as you went up. So it did. So they did. Taxes would have been raising. The spending is going to continue through the ceiling. Through the ceiling. I mean, the Inflation Reduction, you have to laugh at such a ridiculous name. It's not reducing inflation. If you felt any reduction, inflation increased again last month. Oh, that's right. Joe Biden said it's zero now. What the hell does he come up with that stuff? No, it's 8.5%. And which reminds me, keep in mind, for those of you in the stock market, it dropped 8.8% last month. At the same time, inflation last month was up 8.3%. So you lost 17% of your purchasing power, and that is going to continue. That's going to continue. The FANG, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and all those, they are plummeting. They are plummeting. If the Democrats get elected, it's going to accelerate. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. Okay. Now, don't say, "Oh, you must be a Republican." I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Wait till I get to Republicans. Okay. Don't go there. All right. Crime is going to continue to skyrocket. Okay. Because they'll be encouraged to do what they've done so far. Nothing. Can you say nothing? I can say nothing. Nothing. How bad is crime? Let's see. New Orleans just overtook St. Louis as the murder capital of America. Isn't that lovely? 12 major U.S. cities, 12, just set homicide records last year. Politicians are really doing a good job, aren't they? Here's this past weekend's report from Chicago. How do you shoot a 3-year-old boy? Stop it. Stop it. I mean, I hear, it bothers me. Here's a great headline from Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon, folks. I remember the only thing in Portland, Oregon was Ma and Pa Campbell. I remember not that long ago, it was one of the most peaceful places on earth. Now nobody can afford to do business downtown. Crime's so far out of line. Well, I'm sure you've heard your senator and member of the House say, "We're going to get this under control." No, you have not, and you will not. It does not affect them. Here's a rule of thumb for you. If it doesn't directly affect a politician in Washington, he or she is going to do nothing about it. Inflation doesn't affect them. The net worth of the average member of Congress is $7 million. How does that compare with your net worth? Do you think they care whether inflation goes up 8%, 10%, 20%? Which it's going to do, by the way. No, that's why they keep spending. Look, I'm not going to take a position on this war in Ukraine, but so far, the members of the Senate have approved and House have approved $100 billion of your money to go over there to Zelensky. They're now spending at a rate of $10 billion a month. Do you realize they could have given every American household $1,000 instead of sending it over there? When you have the average family in America, last year they saw their spending, or this year they will see their spending due to inflation alone increase $11,500. Right? You're saying to yourself, "Yeah, Carter, I've seen it happen to me." If you've seen that, don't you think that $1,000 could have come in handy for a lot of hardworking Americans who are having trouble putting food on their table and keeping a roof over their head? I think it could have. I think it could have. Okay, spending's going to. The Fed has printed. I'm telling you all this because I'm telling you what's going to happen in the future. Remember, Shakespeare said the past is prologue. This ain't a very nice prologue, okay? It's not a very nice prologue. So everything you've seen bad happening for the past 2 years is going to accelerate if the Democrats get elected instantly, if they keep the Senate, the House, because the two people that held them back, I was saying this 5 minutes ago, Sinema and the guy from West Virginia, Manship, whatever his name is. Schumer's going to crack down on them and tell you no more committee assignments that you want, no more bills passed that you introduce, no more campaign funding if you don't do what you're told. And they're going to say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. It's all in this article I wrote. Check it out. I'm not trying to sell the magazine. I think you should subscribe because it's a great read, a great writers, real experts in their fields, and very well done. Charlotte Tweed. Some of you watch her podcast at Offshore.club. I think it's on Tuesdays. Charlotte's Wandering Web. She's a terrific editor. She's really a terrific editor. So that's what you're looking at the future, the continuing crime. Isn't this a lovely story in New York? They just beat a paramedic to death on the verge of retirement. And the politician's response was, this, I'm not making this up. We're distributing to local businesses ways of solving problems without summoning the police. I couldn't make something like that up. Okay, this was a response to this person being beaten to death. What do you need the police for? They actually say, we're going to set up a line where you can call a social worker. Please. They're politicians. It's what they do. If it doesn't directly affect them, they will do nothing about it. Okay, that's where we are in the U.S. today. That's where we are in the U.S. today. I wish I could tell you different, but I can't because I know these people. I worked with them. They're simply unconcerned. They're going to get their paychecks. They're likely going to get reelected. Most of them were wealthy when they got there. You have guys like Joe Biden, 47 years in the House and Senate. He never had a real job in his entire life. Never, except for when he was swimming pool with the corn pone or whatever his little story is. A lifeguard when he was 17 or whatever the ridiculous story is. He never had a job. He's always been a politician. So he can't identify with people who work. Like you. Remember when George Bush Sr. years ago decided as a political campaign stop, went to a supermarket and was stunned that they had scanners. So, folks, they are chauffeur driven wherever they go. They live in the finest homes in Washington. I'm telling you, I've been to them. Okay, and they're allowed. So I want you to think about this, and I'm going to stop this part of it. I want you to think about this. They are given, probably when you take in the office space they have, prime office space, plus their salaries, plus their allowance for their staffs, which are huge, they are probably given $10 million right from the get-go as soon as they get elected to start up a business. And then the business is thoroughly funded to the tune of millions of dollars a year by you. Okay? Is there a solution? Okay, some of you might say, well, come November, the Republicans will be in. Well, la-de-da. Let me just tell you the truth. If the Democrats are maintain their majority or even increase it, it's possible. You're going to be on a crash course to hell. If the Republicans take the majority in the House or the Senate, still going to hell. You're just going to go there a little slower because there's not a dime's worth of difference between the two parties. Okay. I want you to think for a second. Okay. I'm going to finish with this now on the future. Okay. And why you need to get away from this. If I thought it was going to change, I wouldn't tell you to get away from it. But I've watched these people. They have no intention of changing it. They have, look, how dyed in the wool is it? This is the value of the dollar since 1913. Huh. How bad is that? $1 in 1913, thanks to the politicians and their spending, and the Fed is printing. Fed's printed more money in the past 24 months than the entire history of this country. The dollar, the $1 in 1913 is worth, are you ready? I want you to guess. Right where you're sitting, guess what you think the dollar was worth. $1, full dollar, backed by gold in 1913. It's no longer backed by gold, by the way. But what do you think it's worth today? Guess. If you said 3.6 cents, my God, you are exactly right. And the Fed prints up, I think it's like $6 trillion in the last 24 months. Every dollar they print shrinks the value of the dollar in your pocket down to nothing. So that's the future. That's the future. That's where we are. But the Republicans have done nothing to stop that. Have you heard Mitch McConnell say anything about it? Have you seen him introduce any bills about it, the Senate Majority Leader? Or how about the Speaker of the House, Surfer Boy McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy? There's nothing. There is nothing. Let me give you one example. Then I'm going to go into the future, answer the second letter, okay? Let me give you one example, okay? This headline just appeared. What's the publication? And I guess at the Peacock, proud as a peacock. What is that? CBS, NBI? I can't keep track of them. They're all the same. Republicans abandon Obamacare repeal. Well, that's an interesting story, but you want the truth? I was there. They never intended to repeal Obamacare. Remember, once it passed and the Republicans said, we're going to repeal it. You watch us now. We're going to repeal it. And they said, you just vote us in the House and Senate. I'm quoting, folks. And we're going to repeal Obamacare. It's too costly and it doesn't work. It actually increased your premiums, by the way. And we're going to repeal it. And then so the American people gave them a Republican House. And the Republican House, I think, voted 7 times to repeal it. The Senate was still in the hands of the Democrats, and they voted to keep it. So the Republicans said, well, give us the Senate now, and we'll do it. I knew it was a lie because I knew the people saying it, including Mitch McConnell. Okay? I knew them. So you all voted in the Senate. I think it was 2014, wasn't it? And what happened? The House passed the repeal again, which it had done for cosmetic reasons before. The only reason the House passed the repeal is they knew the deal. They had to deal with the Senate, not to pass it in the Senate. So it would not get through anyway. So the House passes it, de rigueur. It goes to the Senate, and lo and behold, this Republican senators who had promised, you vote us in, we're going to repeal it. They voted not to repeal it. You remember that? John McCain cast the deciding vote, walked off the floor. I remember it, turned to Mitch McConnell and went, thumbs up. The fix was in from day one. Okay, so this headline is interesting, and it's true. They have abandoned it, except for one fact. They never intended to do it, okay? Just like they never intend to really cut your taxes. They never intend to really control spending. It goes up under all of them. And every day, your paycheck shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. The quality of your life, as in Portland, Oregon, goes down further down the tubes. They stick Section 8 housing, no matter where you live, unless you're in Martha's Vineyard, and you're their rich friends. And they throw open the borders. Let me ask you a question. You say, well, that's Biden that did that. Have you seen Mitch or McCarthy down there at the border trying to stem the tide, making an issue of it? You're not going to see it. You're not going to see it. Because they all play the same sick, sordid game. I'm sorry. I have to tell you this because I've been there. Okay? I've been there. I fought it from within for over 40 years. I was at the Right to Work Committee. I was with Americans for Limited Government. I was with Judicial Watch. So I know these people. I was a director of communications for the United States Senate for several years when I had to work with these guys on a daily basis. And I'm telling you, you know, you couldn't trust them, any one of them, except, well, Jesse Helms, you could, Rudman, you could, as far as you could throw them. And I always used to think, what, again, Harry Truman said, if when you go to Washington, if you want a friend, buy a dog. Okay. So there you are. That's where we are. Yeah. That's the answer to the letter to Jill M. I'm giving you the same answer. Don't stay around if you think, oh, well, things are going to get better. Better. Let's see. 110 years. Have they gotten better with your dollar? From $1 backed by gold in 1913 to 3.6 cents now, not backed by anything. All right. So there is a division. You know, Disraeli said, it was either Disraeli or Gladstone. They couldn't stand each other. You think I know which one it was. Said, you know, of Great Britain in their day, we are two nations. America's two nations, and you're in the nation that gets in the back of the neck every day. And to make it worse, as I saw Wiggins over at Daily Record said the other day, you know, don't Daily Beckoning, rather. It's a great publication, by the way, Daily Beckoning. Don't spit in my face and tell me it's raining. Well, that's what you're getting. Now, there is a solution, and that is in the answer to the second question. Okay, let's go back to it real quick. Got to hasten here. Mr. Clues, you keep preaching about moving offshore. See, they have a lot of problems down there. Why do you paint a rosy picture? I paint a rosy picture, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to make this brief. Because if you make your move offshore, you're going to be able to buy a home for 1/10 of what you're paying here. I'm talking a luxury home or a small home. My home is 2 bedrooms on the beach. I've told you this before. I'm not hesitant to say it again. In the U.S., any kind of a locale like this, you walk out of my home, you're on the beach. Okay, any locale like this would cost you $300,000 to $400,000. The home, it's 2 bedrooms. It's a beautiful home. I paid $35,000 for it. Okay. Remember the Carib Carter 1/10 rule. A home in Central America is going to cost you an average about 1/10 of what it does up here. That's even in the most gorgeous residential resort community in all of Central America, Grand Pacifica, a Mike Cobb community. It is, you can buy a home there for 1/10 of what you pay here, and it's better built. It's concrete, it's brick. Okay, it's real tile roof, as opposed to up here, about 3 miles from me, they're building townhouses in a cow pasture. There ain't no ocean nearby. And they're made of plywood and vinyl siding. You can't make this stuff up. So that's number one for Larry, okay? The cost of your home. How about the cost of living? How about the cost of living? About anywhere from 1/3 to 1/4 to 1/3 of what you pay up here, okay? If you live in Nicaragua, Honduras, Ecuador, Peru, those countries, you're going to live extremely well for about 1/4 of what you pay to live up here, okay? You go to somewhere like, you know, let's say Panama, Costa Rica, Uruguay, it's more near 1/3, all right? But those are real figures. And by the way, the food you buy is not processed. You know, the oranges didn't get shipped in a big truck. They picked them off the tree, okay? The chickens are not chemical fed. They just were wandering around down at Jose or Pedro's finca, you know, the day before. The fish are fresh out of the ocean. So you're living better. You're living better. Let's put it this way. The average income in Honduras or Nicaragua is about, or Guatemala is about $2,000 a year. Most of you who are on Social Security get $2,000 a month. So you will be in the 1%. We're talking about the future in Central or South America, okay? You will be in the 1%. So not only can you live well, you can actually help others there, who the natives there who may not be living as well, okay? Which is a wonderful feeling, by the way. Wonderful feeling. So it is, the cost of living is incredible. What about the quality of life? What about crime? You are safer in Nicaragua than you are in any of these cities that I just told you about, okay? Folks, let me just level with you. There was just a report just came out. The murder rate in American cities now, the death by violence rate is higher than in the Ukraine. There's a war in Ukraine. Well, there's a war in American cities too, and it's coming to a community near you. Okay? Because it's as the government continues to devalue the currency in the United States, as they continue to trigger more and more inflation, as they continue to pull back from defending your most basic rights, that victimization of the innocent is coming to a neighborhood near you. Okay? Not that way in Central and South America. A lower crime rate in Nicaragua than in the U.S. In El Salvador, you say, well, what about El Salvador? MS-13, their violent crime rate has dropped 75% since Bukele became president. Pretty good. Let me talk from experience. I lived in Honduras. I would go every day to La Ceiba. I'd walk the streets at night. A city of about 100, 150,000. I felt much safer than here where I am right now in York, Pennsylvania. I would not walk the streets here at night. Okay? In York, Pennsylvania used to be one of the nicest cities, small cities in America. San Pedro Sula, well, I think that's the murder capital of the world. No, not anymore. It's not. It's far less than Chicago, Baltimore, Detroit, on and on and on. But it reminded me of Baltimore when I was a kid. I would walk from the hotel when I would stay, when I would go down to visit my wife, or when I just take a trip there when I have my home outside of La Ceiba, and walk to the Italian restaurant down streets. It reminded me of my boyhood home in Baltimore. Okay, in Baltimore when I was a kid. In Baltimore, by the way, was a lovely city back then in the 60s. It started turning in the 70s. So your future, when you make your move, is going to be the quality of life is going to be 10 times as good as what you're living now. Okay? The cost of living is going to be 10 times. It's going to be, a quarter of what you're living now. And you're going to feel safe and secure. You're not going to have a government that tells you that old perverts should be allowed in your little daughter's restroom at school. Never going to happen in a Central American country or Latin American country. You're never going to have a government that tells you if you don't follow its mandates, you're declared a domestic terrorist. You will never have a president of a country in Central America declare you a semi-fascist if you happen to disagree with them. It's not happening. It's not happening. They say, what about Ortega? Ortega happens to have, he's got a drug-free country. The people have a wonderful standard of living now. And you would be blessed to live there because, Ortega's not going to bother you. He pretty much doesn't bother anybody, and there's no, you remember the Department of Homeland Security's Ministry of Truth that attempted to set up? You'll never have that in Central America. Why? Because they don't have the money to have the National Police Force. They're not going to have 87,000 new armed IRS agents in a Central American country in your future. They don't have the money to do it. The budget of all of Nicaragua or Honduras is not even what the FBI or the IRS is in the US, okay? So you're safe from all that. They're not going to have the artificial intelligence spying. Now, they say, Carter, that the Homeland Security thing, they withdrew that. No, they didn't. Check PRISM, PRISM. It's all caps, by the way. Check it. Everything monitored. It's just the way it is. You're not going to have that down there. One, they can't afford it. And two, frankly, the people won't stand for it. Okay? The people won't stand for it. So there it is. Your future in the U.S., I don't think it's very pleasant right now. I just don't. I don't think you can afford this country anymore. I, honest to God, don't. I think your future in Central or South America, you can live like the 1% in security and serenity in the sun, sand, and surf. And that ain't bad, is it? That ain't bad, is it? Okay, so there you have the answer to the letters. And if anybody was offended by it, I humbly apologize, okay? I humbly apologize. But I have to tell you the truth, as I know the truth, okay? Because I know it's important to you. I know it's important to you. You have important decisions to make about your future, okay? So how about investing there then? How should you do it? How should you go about it? Where's a good place to invest? Well, have I got a great interview for you? I told you at the top we're going to have an interview that I did last week with Mike Cobb, the offshore investment oracle. Okay. I mean, that's what he's known as. And in this interview, he's going to talk to you directly about making your investments offshore. You can invest less with a higher return than anywhere in the U.S. Now, the housing market in the U.S. has collapsed. Okay. We go into that in this interview. Not down there. It's not. You can get equity appreciation plus cash flow. Mike's going to tell you how. So, Gary, let's bring up that interview. I just love it. Hello, and welcome to Mike Cobb's Offshore Investment Report. We're going to have a real no-nonsense program today, real no-nonsense podcast. I want to get serious about offshore property investing because if you're investing in U.S. property, why don't you just hold a gun to your head? Mike, am I being extreme?
I don't know. You're definitely being Debbie Downer here. I like nonsense. Nonsense is fun, Carter. But no, seriously, I think your statement's right on the money. Real estate in the U.S. is largely overpriced. There are probably some deals out there, and there are always deals, right? Distressed opportunities, things like that. But yeah, yield is really, really hard to come by in the United States these days, because, the prices of property have just been, pushed higher. And, we've seen, trillions of dollars being pumped into the economy. The stock market's up, right? And real estate's up. And,
yeah.
And so, I mean, that it is what it is. And look, I don't think you could absolutely go totally wrong buying real estate in the U.S. It's just going to be a long time before you would see real price appreciation and or any kind of real yield. So going overseas to look at real estate, right? Prices are a lot less. Yield curves are much higher. And that's what we're seeing. And we're seeing tons of folks decide they want to own an investment property overseas. It just makes a lot of sense from just a straight up investment standpoint, but it also makes sense from a diversification standpoint.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the figures that came out today on the U.S. housing market, I mean, let me just go. Here we go. Pricing dropping at the fastest pace in history. Okay. Mortgage financing at a 20-year low, right? And then people say, well, yeah, but sometimes the market's good. Folks, think about it. I hate it when people say, well, you invest in a house and you get that equity and you make money as the equity builds. No, you don't. No, you don't. Here in Pennsylvania, property taxes and school taxes are so high that you can't build any equity in your home.
Yeah, I mean,
we just had this ridiculous. What'd you say?
No, but you're right. The friction cost of property ownership in the United States is pretty high. In fact, I have an article, What's the True Cost of Ownership, right? Because a lot of times people get this misconception that, oh, I'm going to buy this condo in Belize and it's going to be super dirt cheap. Well, if you compare it to, say, I'm using a specific example. We have Best Western branded product. We have Best Western branded studio condominiums on Ambergris Key, 3 blocks from the water for $129,000. Okay.
Grand Bayman.
Right. Now, so for example, if you were to say, well, what would that same, I can't remember the square footage, 500 square feet or whatever, 500 square foot condo cost, new built in Miami, Florida? Probably double that number, right? I don't know. Maybe you could get something stick built. This is all concrete, poured concrete construction, but you could probably get something stick built, in the center of Florida. I don't know, whatever, for maybe that number. Maybe you could buy one for $129,000. It wouldn't be exactly the same product, but it would have the same square feet. It would have the same functionality, bedroom, bathroom, blah, 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 right? Okay. But if you said, I want a home 3 blocks from the Caribbean in Florida, Key West, for example. I mean, you're talking 5 times that number. You're talking high hundreds, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, right?
5 to 10 times, times, Mike.
And if you went to a Caribbean island, British Virgin Islands, I mean, because again, remember, Belize is part of the Commonwealth. Belize was British Honduras, right? So if you go to another Commonwealth island, British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Turks and Caicos, Bahamas, Bermuda. Yeah, now you're at 10x, Carter. That's right. Now you're at 10x that number. 10X. It's $1 million, right? And so while you'd say to yourself, $129,000, that doesn't really sound dirt cheap, right? That's the first piece of cost of ownership. That's the whole point of my article. Look, concrete, steel, windows, doors, lights, electric wire, all of that stuff is priced at world price. There's no discount because you're buying concrete or windows or doors or lights in Belize or Nicaragua or Costa Rica or Panama. It's world price, right? That's just world price. You do get a discount on labor, and labor is typically about 1/3 to 40% of the construction cost. So if your labor, let's say, is half price, then, so you're saving half on 40%, you're saving 20%. So your total overall bill might be 20% less than a comparable product in the United States. Okay, that's a pretty reasonable expectation that you could buy a property, true apples to apples comparison, for 20% less overseas, new construction, right? Okay, but that's just step one. Now, as you brought up with school taxes and on and on and on and on, like, what is your true cost of ownership? And I wrote this article and I said, over a 20-year period, homeowners fees, property owner fees, whatever you want, condo fees, whatever you want to call them, right? I mean, I said, over a 20-year period, you have your acquisition cost plus 20 years of taxes and fees and everything else, versus overseas, you have your acquisition costs slightly less, not a lot less, slightly less, and 20 years of a lot lower fees. And at the end of 20 years, Carter, you'll be blown away. I don't remember the numbers, but if folks want that article, just have them send me an email and I'll send them a copy of that article. The True Cost of Ownership is the name of the article. Carter, it's absolutely staggering over a 20-year period what the difference is in cost of ownership.
The article's True Cost of Ownership, folks. That's the name of the article, True Cost of Ownership. This is vitally important, Mike. This is vitally, look, here where I live, the property tax is wipes you out, wipes everybody. And they raised them. They destroyed the state's economy and the city's economy, so they raised the taxes. So there you have it, folks. He's a delightful guy. Hey, Mike Cobb is one of the nicest guys I know. I mean, clearly he's a very wealthy guy. You can't own 5 or 6 Caribbean resorts without a pretty good bank account. But he's a good guy because he was raised like most of us. He was raised middle class, and made his own way, and now helps open the door for other people to make their way south of the border. So there you saw it. I just love it. So where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? Well, let's go to $1,000 Listing Caribbean. One of my favorite parts of Coffee with Carib Carter, okay? Every week, as you know, I scour the Caribbean to find the best, what I think is that week, the best home for you, okay? We've done 84, 85 of them now. And I know some of you have made your purchases. I bought one. One of them I bought, I first featured on $1,000 Listing Caribbean. I thought to myself, that's such a good deal. I'm going to buy it. And I did. My wife and I did. Okay, so today we're going to Vivian again. Okay, I love Vivian. I always recommend it to you. Vivian, Vivian.com. You go up and type a country up in the little box in the upper right-hand corner, and there you go. Thank you, Gary. And it tells you all about all the homes available. By the way, I want to give you a word of warning, because I do this every, almost daily throughout the week to find the best home for you for $1,000 Listing Caribbean. I'm going to have to tell you, the prices are rising down there. Well, think about the Zogby poll. 24 million Americans now say they're looking to invest or move offshore. So get in now while still make deals like this one I'm going to tell you about. Okay, beach house for sale or rent in La Ceiba, Honduras. The area is called Playa Vida, Honduras. Okay. First, let me tell you a little bit about the home. I'm going to tell you, it says $99,900, but then it says negotiable, all from $85,000. Come on. They want to sell it. 2-bedroom, 1 bath, in an amazingly tranquil tropical resort of Playa Vida, Honduras. Okay. All right. Let's draw back. First of all, where is Honduras? Okay. See where Honduras is there? up here in the Panhandle. Okay, under Guatemala, then you have Honduras. Okay, 2 countries south of Mexico. The other day, somebody said to me, "Where's your wife from?" And I said, "She's from Honduras." I said, "Is that Africa?" No, it's not Africa. It's Central America. Okay, it's Central America. So there you go. There's where we're going. We're going specifically, let's move in a little closer, to La Ceiba. La Ceiba. The home is right outside of La Ceiba. All right. Here, you know what I'm going to do while we're talking? I'm going to circle it in red for you. Okay. You're on the water. You're on the ocean, on the Caribbean. I love it. I love it. This particular residential resort community, there it is. There it is. Playa Vida, Honduras. See? See the yellow thing? That's exactly where your home is. Look how close you are to the beach. Honey, let's get up and walk down to the beach this morning. Picture yourself there, okay? Gorgeous beach, by the way. I'm going to show you a picture in a second. Let's go closer into the community. There you go. There you go. All right. That's the community. Now, this is not a Mike Cobb community. Let me say this. Mike Cobb community is an all amenities community. I call it, you know, it has, you know, all the amenities included in a Mike Cobb community, like Grand Pacifica or Grand Bayman, you know, the restaurants, the stores, everything, the gorgeous paved roads, everything you could want, Grand Pacifica. La Playa Vida is not, okay? Gorgeous homes, beautiful homes on the beach, but you're not going to find a lot of restaurants and all there. So this is for more of a person who's more independent, but you're only 10 minutes outside of the city of La Ceiba. You know, so you can take the bus in, which I used to do every day when I was there. Lived there, by the way. Lived in Honduras. I lived outside of Ceiba. Or you get a car for next to nothing and you drive back and forth. Let's look at the home. Let's look at the home. This community has full gardening. Okay. Look at that. It's just 2 bedroom, 2 bath. Okay. Let me see what else it's got there. Mountain view, ocean view, balcony, furnished appliances, laundry room, in addition to your 2 bed, 2 bath, patio, pool, cable TV, 24-hour security, high-speed internet. That's your home. One of the things I liked about it is underneath the home. You saw it's up off the ground, and underneath it, I really love this huge storage area. Okay, you know, park your car, set up a workshop down there. I just like that. That just appealed to me. Okay. And remember, you're going to get this for under 100,000. You are, because you're going to give them under. And they may say 99.9. Well, you know, my mother used to say, when I would say, I want this. My mother was Italian. She was from Italy. Used to say, people in hell want ice water. Okay. They want 99.9, but they ain't getting it because you're not giving it to them. Okay. All right. Let's go inside. Let's go inside the home. Wow. Wow. Look at the mahogany. Isn't that beautiful? Remember, it's coming furnished. It's coming furnished. So you're all set. This is turnkey. This is turnkey. Another view inside the open concept living room. I love this home, folks. Look, the 2 doors to the 2 bedrooms there. This is well built. This is a nice home. It's not like those places I told you 3 miles from me that are plywood and vinyl siding. Plus, they ain't on the ocean, and this one is. Okay. There you go. Here's the kitchen area. Everything you want is right there. Picture yourself making your coffee, coming over, sitting down on that couch, just relaxing, looking out the window at the ocean or the mountains. This is very, very nice. Nice bedroom. Okay. All right. Nice bedroom. All right. And you notice, I don't know what you saw in all these pictures, but it has split duct air conditioning in every room. And remember, your utility bills, you'll never pay heat, but your utility bills are a fraction of what they are up here to use all this air conditioning. So keep that in mind. All right, let's go outside to the common area there. Remember, I told you, this is not an all the amenities residential resort community, but it does have what you're looking at there. Let me read it to you. the Toucan Bar and Grill. So it has a nice little restaurant right outside your door. Okay. Okay. Well, I like that. I think it's nice. And how about the beach? Picture yourself walking down that beach. Holy mackerel, folks. That is the good life at a great price. Remember, you're paying next to nothing to live there, live this life. Now, as you're roading it out, notice the road is gravel. It's not paved, okay? That's why at the very outset, what did I tell you? You're not getting Grand Pacifica, the Mike Cobb community in Nicaragua, okay? Notice everything there. You're getting something more rustic, very, very nice, beautiful homes, great homes, well built, but in a community for somebody who's more independent, you know, who says, I don't need big, giant restaurants. That grill we just saw is good enough for me. You know, I don't need all the convenience stores and all right there. You have everything in Grand Pacific, obviously. But what I need is there. And same with me. My home, I bought La Ceiba Beach Club, which is about 15 minutes from La Playa. Okay. 15 minutes from La Playa Beach. So we would be neighbors. We can get together and drive into La Ceiba together to do our shopping. La Ceiba has every store, has Walmart, has everything, you know, hardware stores, the works. So there you have it. This is a good deal. This is a good deal. Check it out. Check it out. Go to vivian.com. Let me give you the number. I didn't give you the number. Holy mackerel, was that an oversight? Matter of fact, I forgot to even send it to Gary, our producer. So let me read it to you. Go to Vivian, you go up in the upper, vivian.com, okay? You go in the corner there. There's your number. Type in that number. It's going to take you straight to this house, okay? Straight to that house right there. There we go. Thank you. That was quick. Gary's very quick. I should be as quick as he is. But I'm a lot older than him, so I'll give myself a pass there. So there you have it. It's just, I think it's a great deal. Check it out. Check it out. You're going to have a better future there. You and your family. You and your family. So I want you to seriously consider it, okay? Seriously consider it. Now, that brings us to the motivation moment to help you be motivated to do it. You know, some of you are going to be surprised that one of the things I hear from people more often than some people might think is, you know, like they'll say to me, you know, I obviously it's a great life down there in the sun, sand, and surf, but I'm a real football fan, and I'd miss my football team in the fall. Well, I was raised within walking distance of Memorial Stadium as a kid, and I was a Baltimore Colts fan, the real Colts, with Johnny Unitas and Raymond Berry and Big Daddy Lipscomb. So I know how it is to live and die. I swear to God, my father was a Methodist minister, as some of you know. And when the Colts were playing in season, football season, if he preached past this game started at 2 and his members need to be able to get to Memorial Stadium to park and all. If he preached past noon, you'd be stunned at how many male members, mostly male back then, went to football games, would leave. I said to him one time, Dad, does it bother you when Mr. Kerr and some of these others get up and leave while you're still preaching to go to the Colts game? And he said, Carter, you know, during Colts season, I'm just happy that they stopped by in the first place. So I know how it feels to be a huge fan, but I want to show you why you don't have to worry about missing out on being able to root for the home team. This, I think, is one of the best podcasts on the internet for sports fans. Okay. Cheesehead TV. Now, some of you right now are saying, Cheesehead, that's the Green Bay Packers. Yes. So let's roll this and notice the name of the show. Okay. The name of the show. Gary, let's roll it.
Good afternoon, everybody. Aaron Nagler here. Welcome back to Packer Transplants Live. I'm always joined by Mr. Corey Banke, my partner here at Cheesehead TV. I'm coming to you live from the podcast studio in Midtown Manhattan. Corey joins us live across the street from Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and we are ready to talk some Packers. What do we have on tap today, Corey?
Today, we try to contain our excitement about the sun coming into my eyes, and we try to contain our excitement about the special teams performance down in Tampa. But first, it's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. We got the good. We got
Romeo Dobbs.
We got the bad. We got
Charles Aaron Rodgers.
We got the ugly. We got
the second half offense. You talk about UGLY. It ain't got no alibi. It ugly, the second half offense. Corey Banky, are you surviving in the sunburst that you...
I'm going to block. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
This
is the perils of doing transplants a little earlier. We got a sun
did it
beaming down on you.
I still see Lambeau Field. I didn't. There's only a little bit of blockage. What's up? Let's go. 2-1 Green Bay Packers.
2-1, baby. Packers,
loving it.
Hard-fought victory down in Tampa Bay. Gotta love the stick-to-itiveness, the defensive prowess, and yes, as Corey mentioned, the special teams come into play. Before we get to the game, before we get to the news, you know how we roll here on Packer Transplants. We have to start with the hotness.
There you have it, folks. The Cheesehead TV podcast network, okay, with its show of, what's it called? From Afar. Yeah, it's a different name, and I don't have it right in front of me. But old Nagler there, he is a distant fan, but they don't miss a thing. They are all involved. They are all involved. And let me put it this way. The Nagler show, okay, Nagler show, Nags as he calls himself, and it is a delightful podcast. He, as he points out, he comes from New York. He is a Cheesehead fan. That is 994.8 miles from Green Bay, Wisconsin. And you can see he doesn't miss a thing, okay? Nor do his thousands of subscribers who are all over the world and are Green Bay Packer Cheesehead fans. It's going to be the same with you. If you move, Honduras is about 1,000 miles away. So you can be there and be just as big a fan. You don't, let's face it, you don't go to the ballpark anyway nowadays for the most part. They only hold like 50,000. They have millions of fans. So you can be just as involved, just like Nags is, from wherever you are. You have, because with the internet, you now have the whole wide world in the palm of your hand from wherever you are. So why not enjoy a little drink with an umbrella while you're watching your favorite team? If you're a Cheesehead, watching them freeze to death in sub-zero weather while they're playing what they always call the frozen tundra of Green Bay, Wisconsin, while you're in the sun, sand, and surf cheering them on. That's a pretty good life. So at a great price. So as I tell you every week on Coffee with Carib Carter, let's do this thing.